All right, dear Father, Lord, we just thank you again for the opportunity that you give us, Lord, to be your hands and feet here and be able to co-labor with you wherever your Holy Spirit is moving, Lord. And we just pray that you will open our eyes to see where your Holy Spirit's moving in our church and in our community, and especially here on our campuses in WSU and U of I, Lord. We just ask for your Holy Spirit to anoint our presenters here today and be able to give a good message and some good ideas, Lord, of ways that we can connect and reach the student community here. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
We have a roaming mic.
Yeah.
And this is very casual, very, we're really interested in a conversation. We want to learn from you as much as you probably all want to learn from us. So,
Linda,
and if everyone can come as close as
up,
possible. What are you not? Okay, so you just gave yourself away.
She's eating.
All right. So one of the first questions is, how many students are in this area? Do you know? Yeah. So we did some research too. Your answers are correct. You're good. You win the prize. No, and if you think about the percentage-wise for these towns and how many people actually live here, you're going to find that it is a very big, like the students make up a big part of the population. In fact, so much so that it drives down the average age. So in Pullman, the average age is 22. And here it's 25. So you're looking at a very young population, even in and around here. And when you're looking at a church and when you're looking at even ministry and where God's leading, those are things that you need to play into. Like, okay, well, if this is a younger population, what's going to be different about it?
So I'm just curious, what's the history? I mean, I started in campus ministry at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1985. And I was on the campus there for 16 years. And then I've been at UC Berkeley for 25 years. And I heard about Moscow and Pullman back in like the late 80s.
That was because of a group of Reformed Presbyterians that were very active, and they have been wonderfully successful.
I didn't hear about them. I heard about the Adventist group that was here. I heard about the ministry that the Adventist Church was doing on these campuses. Mm-hmm.
What year was that?
We came here in
82.
around 82.
Yep.
And there was markedly, like people were finding their partners here and getting married, and then some of them have moved back. But, well, I would say for sure since COVID,
Yeah.
it's gone down.
But there was like a restaurant here and
Yeah.
stuff?
Well, that restaurant, there was one on the WSU campus.
Uh-huh.
And then the guy who was kind of running that opened up one downtown. Remember Andre? What was the name of that? It was like a juice bar or something, but it wasn't very successful.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is, I kind of know the history of Adventist ministry on public university campuses. And what was happening here in this area between the two universities, between Idaho and Washington, was considered like one of the key Adventist ministries on public university campuses for the North American Division. Yep. Yep.
Remember who the pastor was during that time?
I remember you. We were together a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we were.
In Seattle.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, were either of you at the Growing Young in Spokane,
I wasn't.
which was a couple years before? But what's that other guy's name? The very deep voice.
Ben Lundquist.
Yeah, he was at both. Right. Anyway, we had a student here who became associate pastor. His name was Doug Ammon.
Yeah.
You
I
know
know Doug.
Doug?
Yeah.
Okay, I think he lives retired in Walla Walla
He's
now.
retired, yeah.
Anyway, so he's the one that was really kind of our leader at the time and proposed Studio 7, our vegetarian restaurant.
Okay.
At the K House at WSU.
See, he was involved in a restaurant like that we had in Berkeley.
Oh,
Doug was
yes,
involved with that one,
after
too.
he left here, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yes. And so that's kind of our beginning of that time Adventist Christian Fellowship.
Okay.
So,
So, so that was what was happening then. And then I'm assuming, like most of our Adventist ministries on public campuses, it's gone up and down since then, which is always what happens. You get like a group in that are, pretty good concentration of Adventist students, and they're there for, 3 or 4 years. If they're graduate school, they're a little bit longer. And then they graduate, which is why they're here, to graduate. But when they graduate, like, who's the next leaders coming on? See, and that's always the issue. So my question is, where would you say things are at right now? Is there an ACF chapter here at University of Idaho? There's not an official one. Are you guys students? Okay, well, you're the ones I want to talk to. Thankful for all these other people here, but you're the ones I want to talk to. Yeah. Yeah.
But we do have regular meetings, and we have a lot of people that are interested. It's just we don't have a lot of people that show up.
Yeah.
About like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
Would you say that part of the struggle is part of the struggle with organization? Is it like being able to plan events so that people can show up and figuring out when, like, is that the struggle? Or is it that everyone's just really busy? They're not going to come even if you give them.
That's what seems to be the problem, because schedules vary so widely.
No, you're fine.
That we haven't had a consistent number of people that would be willing to show up. Or like our group chat is like, I think we've had like 14 to 18 people that say that they're interested and want to be on the group chat, but we don't have enough people that would show up. Like they say they do, and then I send out your text messages like, hey, we have stuff going on, but we don't get a lot of people that actually show up. It's just kind of like, ooh, I want to be involved, and then they ghost us.
But then, I've got 100 other things going on, like Alan has.
So Kate, have you been going to Matthews on Friday night?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if the Pullman kids were making it over to go there.
We've combined both of the students from U of I and WSU.
Okay.
So we don't really have like a separate, this is U of I and this is WSU. We've all kind of combined students. So we have a couple students from U of I and then the rest of us from WSU.
Okay.
And you meet off campus?
Yeah.
You meet
So-
at somebody's house?
Yeah, we meet at church members of here's Matthew's house Friday nights, and then occasionally we meet at Pastor Eric's house. We've had a lot of interest from church members.
Meeting all kinds of new people. So is Matthew here?
She's sick.
Matthew, oh,
She's sick.
Matthews, okay, so sick, oh,
Yeah.
bummer.
Have they been doing it about 2 or 3 times a month?
We meet once a week on Friday nights for dinner and a Bible study. Did you guys meet last time? Yes, right? We should have gone. Yes.
I
Yeah,
know.
we did.
We were there. We could have come. Sorry.
If we get some weird feedback, we'll just delete one.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So you invite people to things. What kind of things are you inviting people to?
Currently, we want to do more, and most of it's the only thing that I've had time and to kind of schedule is just our once a week dinner and Bible study.
Okay.
We've had a lot of interest in hiking and that sort of thing, and we want to do more of that. And most of the time, it seems like people they say they're available most times on like Sabbath afternoons to like maybe go on hikes or something like that. And then like Sundays, possibly, but then I text a couple of people and they're like, oh, well, I'm busy, and then there's only gonna be like
Right,
one or two
right,
people,
yeah.
and it's hard
Yeah.
to want to plan stuff, because there's lots of fun ideas. Like this time around, we've been kind of pushing around the idea of like, oh, maybe we meet up at a coffee shop and have like an art night or something
Yeah.
like that, which a lot of people would want to, but for that kind of thing, like I want to plan that. And it's hard because like, I'll say 10 people would be interested in that, but 2 to 3 people are going to show up. So that's kind of the hard thing that I'm having trouble. 'Cause
So
I
let me-
want to plan, but
Yeah.
it's hard to know how many people are going to show up.
Let me tell you about Slava. Slava goes to the University of Wisconsin. I met him 2 summers ago at a program called Disciple Trek, and he was trying to decide whether he would continue in chemistry or if he would take a year off and just be a missionary to the campus. And he realized he had more access to the campus if you're actually a student. And so he was asking me, well, what do I do? And he was saying the same thing that you're just saying right now. Like, you know, I have like a board game night, or I have like spike ball, or I'll do these things and like, I'll only have like 1 person show up or 2 people show up. And I said, you know, it's okay. It's okay if you just, I know we want the big numbers. We want all these people to come up and he actually did one time get like 100 people that showed up. He plastered the university, had a board game. He was like going, he's like, what do I do now? I'm like, well, just do what you can. I mean, 100 people is a lot of people, and just have fun. And so by the end, this last summer we had ACFI, and he came and a young man came to the Institute, and he walked up to me and said, you know, I want to be baptized. And this is all because, and this is the one individual, those 1 or 2 people that were always there. And honestly, if it's anything at all, is consistency. Even if you don't have anyone show up, you're there. And if you have the time to do it, you know, that's one thing. Now, if you're like overwhelmed, you know, I think that's where, this is the reason why we're in a church right now. And this is the reason why we want to speak to members of a church, is because, you know, you all know just from the history of this ministry that students don't have as much time as they want to have. You guys have a lot of energy, and you're like, let's go, let's do this. But then you're like, oh, I got this test, I got
Then
this thing.
midweek, it's
Right,
like,
midweek,
oh.
you're like, oh, so Sabbath afternoon, you're like, man, I'm gonna take a hike, but it's gonna be to the springs of my bed, and I'm gonna lay down, you know? And so don't beat yourself up about that. But we'd like to be able to see how members of churches can really, you know, build a leadership team and step in and help with some of the administration of campus ministries.
We say that, think of campus ministry like a 3-legged stool. Most important leg is the students, because they are the ones that are on campus. And the university usually is happy that there's a church or something like that that's supporting you guys, but actually, unfortunately, they don't really care about you. They care about the students.
And students are spending money on.
Yeah, so the students are the ministry, okay? But the church can be the support. So that's the second leg, is the local church that supports these students, and they feed them. They're there, you know, behind them. Sometimes they even provide money for activities. Then the third leg is the church organization. It means like conference, union, division, whatever. And what we tend to provide is like training and resources. So we go to acflink.org, and there's all kinds of campus ministry resources that are there for students and also for churches. But the most important leg are the students. So how can we support them? Now, are you from two different campuses?
Yeah, we're both from WSU.
You're both from WSU.
And
Do you know Churchill?
Say that again.
Do you know Churchill?
Yeah, he goes to.
Yeah, he's a grad student. He was just at the church over there
Yeah.
when I told him, you need to come to this meeting, but but he had other places to go. But
we have another student.
and are you from WSU? Oh, okay, great. So how many Adventist students do you think are at U of I? I mean, even though they don't go to church, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Do they live close enough so they go home on weekends? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, okay. So they're just not interested,
I guess.
not enough to come, anyway, yeah.
Do you guys get together at U of I, though? I mean, do you see them in class?
It's nobody I really know super well.
Okay.
I've just seen them at church before, and like if I see them on campus, I'll say like, "Oh, hey, I saw you guys at church," or whatever.
Yeah.
Are there other Christian ministries at U of I?
Yes, there's
And
several
at
that I've.
WSU? And at
Yeah.
WSU? Yeah, like what are some of them? Do you know them?
You would probably best
Yeah.
answer that.
There's one called the Campus Christian Fellowship.
Uh-huh.
They hold meetings every Friday at a nearby church in the middle of downtown Pullman. And they have many, many students who go, and they have fellowship, they have Bible study, they give snacks, they have games too. But they do have, I would say about 50 students show up per meeting. Yeah.
Have any of you ever attended that?
I attended one meeting during the second week of school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was very engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very engaging. I see why more students go to that one compared to ACF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ACF is kind of your thing that you do at somebody's house, and it's more for Adventist students. Other non-Adventist students don't attend that.
The CCF is, anyone is welcome to the CCF, and then ACF, everyone is welcome,
Yeah,
but it's geared more towards Adventists.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yep.
So, excuse me, Eric told me about it first, and I've known about its existence. There's a campus Christian ministry, what do they call it? The Sea House or something?
They call it an Our House. It's a ecumenical campus ministry at U of I. Basically, I think 7 different denominations, maybe even 90 years ago, invested on some property on the campus. So they have 3 lots, 1 building that they have there, and one, basically a campus minister from one of the Lutheran churches. But my wife told me about it, and we basically went to their presentation a couple weekends ago, and they seem to be, pretty open at this point to having other, people involved. But it is a center on campus that's not owned by the school, so they can kind of run whatever programs they want on there.
I have a question though about it. So I went there because they have a food bank there, and so we were starting this food bank, and we brought some stuff over there. And it was like a beehive. I felt like it was really busy. And so I want to know, does our church have a problem if we got involved over there? Like, they have things like they have dinners, a church will sponsor a dinner like one night a week or something like that. Like, is that something we could do? Or do we need to just, stay away from
Are you
things like that.
suggesting we work with other denominations?
Yes, I am.
Like other human beings that love Jesus? Ooh, mercy, mercy.
So here's the thing. On most college campuses, if you took all the Christian ministries that are operating there, and honestly, at Berkeley, we have about 80 Christian, 80. If you took all of those ministries together, and ones here at, you know, U of I, I want to say Indiana.
Indiana, yeah, yeah.
Which is where he came from. U of I or WSU took all of them together, they would be ministering, all of them together would be ministering to less than 10% of
Yeah.
the university.
Yeah.
So they're not our competition,
Right.
and they're not our enemy. You know, they are trying to help students come to some kind of belief or knowledge of God, period. Okay? So that's what we want too, you know? I mean, we have, some deep teachings or understandings about God that we would love to share with people. But look, the primary thing is we want people to come to believe in God and to know him, period. So yes, we can work with them, you know? Jesus said, if they're not against us, they're for us. And they're not, well, they might be against us because sometimes they have wrong ideas about Adventists.
Yeah.
That Adventists are a cult. Let's just put it out there, and they have this impression that Adventists don't like them.
Yeah.
Well, who gave them that? So I think we have a role to play in even introducing ourselves and letting them know we're not another religion. We're Christians. The Adventists, we are not forming another religion like Mormonism or Jehovah's Witness. We are Christians, and we have some our own unique beliefs. But guess what? They do too. And that group there is probably the denominational ministries. It's not the parachurch ministries. The parachurch ministries are probably like what you're talking about, and it's like Campus Crusade for Christ, what used to be Campus Crusade, now Cru, InterVarsity Christian Fellowship. Chi Alpha is kind of a denominational ministry because it's of the Assemblies of God, but the Assemblies of God are kind of loose anyway.
Yeah, and they've taken steps in the last 5 years to actually say that we're for everyone. We want to reach everyone.
And Reformed University Fellowship is kind of Presbyterian, but it is not. It is more of a parachurch ministry as well. So that group there that's in that place, they are probably denominational ministries that have kind of come together and said we're going to have a house, and so we are both. ACF can kind of operate as like a parachurch in a way, but it is an official organization of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, so we are a denominational ministry. So you guys could be probably working with them, but it will take time. You'll have to build those relationships. They'll have to know. It took us 7 years to actually be on the religious council, well, not on the religious council, but with the other evangelical groups at Berkeley, because they thought we were a cult. And I had to change that perception for them.
So you do that by just kind of going there and hanging out and get to know them, like, you have a little coffee shop there with their coffee and
Yeah,
just going.
yeah. And if you're doing you said you're doing a food bank thing. They're doing a food bank. I'm sure they would love to have you involved.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love to have you involved, like with their food bank. They always need volunteers. They
Yeah.
always need people to help.
But their food bank is different. They just have a little shelf with some food on it. It's,
Well, you could help
Well,
them.
yeah, how
Maybe you
can
could
you-
change that.
Yeah. You're allowed to do that. So I will say, like, the NAD,
no,
the North American division has worked to get us partnerships.
Oh, what's
And we're actually part of an organization called Every Campus. It's like a movement, and it's a many different Christian.
Which is kind of a new thing,
It
even
is.
among them.
Yeah, when we went to San Antonio or Dallas, something, we went to Texas, big state.
Dallas.
They were actually talking about how InterVarsity and Crew used to be like, really pitted against each other. And you're like, you don't go to, if you're with InterVarsity, you don't go to Crew and vice versa. And so now they're trying to, what they see now is that there's 25 million students. There's 5,700 universities. And every campus is actually tracking about 3,100 campuses that there's a known gospel ministry on that campus. So we're shy by 2,000, yet we have all these people. And so they're trying to bring everyone together to, not to put up the Pope or anything, if we're actually trying to come together and reach students for Christ. And, you find it hard, like, to find Adventists that are willing to come out. Like, what if we advertise them more than just Adventists and say, hey, we're going to have a pitch-in, we're going to have some haystacks. What's haystacks? That's very, very much an Adventist thing. I didn't know what a haystack was.
Do a sober barbecue.
Yeah, sober barbecue, yeah. You could have, we go bowling, and like when we have a bowling night, there will be students that like are wanting, like, are they mooching? Yeah, maybe they are, but I don't care. Like, come on, come play bowling with us. What's your name? What's your major? What are you doing in life? And they form friendships. We had I had a student that she came for opera. That's what she was coming from Canada. And as part of her schooling, she was required to be put with a musician that played early music. It was all early music stuff. And so she gets with this guy, and they're having to meet a lot. They're having to even eat lunch together. And he stopped her one time. He's like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm praying. Like, well, why do you pray? And she's like, well, I just want God to bless it. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? And like, so he starts asking more questions. And we had every year our church put on a Thanksgiving meal. Like the whole church, it was like the week before Thanksgiving on like a Saturday night, we invited everyone that we could think of, all the students were involved. So we bring everyone together and just have a big old meal. We had a turkey. We actually had a turkey there. The next year I'd left, but they were talking about having a fried turkey, and I missed that one. But we didn't, we were just really just trying to be kind. And so this young man comes in, he's got long hair, and he's just like kind of looking in, soaking in everything, and he's starting to like learn more. And then the girl starts calling me, and she's like he's asking all these questions. I don't have any answers for these questions. He bought himself a Bible. Like, what do I do? And I said, well, just listen to him. And then the next thing I know, he's asking for Bible studies. The next thing I know, I'm baptizing both of them, and now they're married. And, you see that. Like, that's what you see happen. And really, all that happened was because she had the faith, a strong enough faith that was willing to say a prayer before a meal. And it's social. Everything's social.
So a couple of weeks ago, Eric preached, and he talked about us going there. Like, I don't know exactly what you were talking about, but yeah, like not thinking, well, they're going to just come here.
Right.
So do we need to go there?
The Bible says, therefore, go.
Yes, but even more important, you need to support them because they're there every day.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
we're going there,
They're already going there.
okay.
See what
but
I'm
they're
saying?
at that-
Oh, well,
Well-
she's going
Yes,
there.
so we're.
Yeah.
as
So how
old
do you
peop-
team
how
up?
Old people, we go there and we get to know them, like all of us get to know them, instead of waiting for them to come here. Like, okay, so with this food bank thing, I was
Yes.
thinking they were gonna come here. But it's not, well, it's only been a couple times, but I'm thinking, okay, are we supposed to go there?
Well,
with
yeah,
our
and if
food?
you,
And they know that that food is coming from Seventh-day Adventists, and not like we're pushing it, but that they're aware of who we are. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
A lot of times, the first line of what I've really thought of when I started pastoring a church is I was 26 before I even knew what an Adventist was. Like, I went through Waco, had no idea what that was all about. I'm glad that I didn't know anything about it because I probably wouldn't have joined the church. God prevented me. In fact, Sundays we would go by, and like on Saturday afternoons, we'd come by this place, and man, they had a lot of weddings there. People were always going to church on Saturday. I was like, what's going on? So I really feel like you want to get your name out there, and there is a really good way working with your students. And maybe the students, maybe you don't have enough time to table like every day, or you don't have enough time to even like be part, but you can swing by and stuff like that. There's some really easy things that you could do, like you set up a table and you serve hot cocoa and get some muffins, maybe put some glow tracks on them, or just put like, here, we just know you probably needed a snack today, it's cold, here you go. And they start to see your face and they start to know who you are. And we really, and I think that the biggest thing here, and I could talk about like the granular things, but I think the biggest point, what you can do as a church, of course, pray, but John 2, 3, 4, and 5, give examples to what it means when I say Christ's method alone. We've all heard Christ's method alone. He met with the people, he met their needs. Well, in John 2, Jesus kept the party going. He served a social need. In John 3, he served an intellectual need with Nicodemus, right? And in John 4, with the woman at the well, he served an emotional need. That woman at the well was one of the first people to actually know that Jesus was the Messiah. Like, actually, he told her that he saw her. And there are people on the campus that need to be seen. They think they're all alone. And then the fifth one is the physical need, is the food. Like, you look at those, what are the needs on the campus? Like, do some research. Ask your students, what are people going through? Is it just food that they need? Are they lonely? Is there a mental health crisis right now? I mean, we know that there is. What kind of resources could we actually put together? What does it look like on campus? And then you just start meeting those needs, and you start forming those relationships with both the other Christian organizations and the students. And it takes time, and it takes energy.
You also have to ask yourself, like, are we a church that, they would be bringing their friends to? Is what's happening on campus so different culturally that, maybe meeting there is at least the first step. And once relationships are formed, then there's trust built. And then if there's something happening here that they can relate to, then they'll come here. But they got to first have those relationships. Starts there.
I'm kind of behind the scenes, so I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm on the camera. Sorry. Do we have church streaming in any of the ACFs anywhere during church? Because the idea is to come to church.
We do at Berkeley.
Okay.
We stream every week.
Okay, so there's like kind of like an open door, come to church without coming to church.
So it's not really advertised that way,
Yeah.
but we do it.
You do bring up kind of like a thing, though, is that who needs to go to church anymore? You can just get it online. But like, okay, so then does that mean the music and the sermon isn't really important to church? No, not necessarily. What's the most important thing of church? Like fellowship. It's community. Like, so when you're thinking about, everyone needs community. And when students are dropped onto a campus where there's thousands of other students, they think instant community. But what ends up happening is there's no community. You're by yourself. You're alone, and you're struggling in the winter. And so looking at like, how do you build community? How can you all actually, instead, like, because a lot of this we're talking very theoretical. Where does the rubber hit the road? Where can we take steps to build community? Because if you can build community, things happen naturally. Growth happens naturally, and these relationships that are formed, and you'll start to see. I had at least 1 to 2 baptisms every single year, and I never had any evangelism. We did one evangelistic thing on campus to kind of kick off, just so that people would know us. And we didn't have any baptisms from that, but we started small groups, and it all came out of this community relationship. And that's what students are looking for. Especially, I mean, when did you all meet your best friends? Was usually at college or a little bit after college. So how can the church do that? And I'm actually asking that question. I'm not saying like, how can the church do it? Like, you guys can think. What do you think? What can the church do to build community?
I'll just start. I was transferring to, I don't know what year I was in, junior, senior, going to WSU. I had been to several colleges, and I had a religious need that I didn't know that I had a religious need, going to church fellowship. I'd been doing that all my life, but I didn't realize is I had a need on a higher level than just going to the place. But in the back of my mind, I was looking for the next step. My legal best friend, or my wife. And so this is where I entered ACF before I knew that I was entering ACF. I was already in the cove and the people and the friends before I knew ACF was ACF. I was like, oh, it's just another cool group, okay. And before I knew it, you know, I'm getting to know, at the time, Katie. Chemistry's going over the moon. So it's a different kind of fellowship.
Right, right.
But I'm just kind of another statistic of what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for that, because I've always been plugged in, no matter what university I went to some kind of Christian group. But I'm like, where has this been? Right? And I'm not trying to like, oh, here's my sainthood testimony or whatever, but it's like, I feel like it's important.
It's your experience.
To stay connected. Yeah. And I don't know why more young people have not seen the world like that. Because, you know, growing up, like, why did this guy go to college or these people move and they never came back? Now I can finally answer that question for myself. At the same time, as Adventists as a whole, and I don't mean this to sound offensive or harsh, but we have very poor skills when it comes to marketing and communication to non-Adventist communities in the world.
Even to ourselves.
Both sides,
Even
and internal.
We can't communicate to ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's just an awareness thing. But I think we're doing an awesome job for how many hundreds or, you know, so there's credit that needs to be due. At the same time, we could turn up the volume in a lot of places too.
Well, if you really think about it, we're very much like the Seventh-day Baptist. You guys know the story of the Seventh-day Baptist. So early on, the way that the Sabbath was actually discovered by the Millerites, which became the Adventists, and Seventh-day is actually through the Seventh-day Baptist Church. And what had happened was the Seventh-day Baptists, their belief was that if someone reads the Bible, they're going to be led to keep the Sabbath, like naturally. If someone actually read the Bible, they would keep the Sabbath. And so they didn't feel like they actually need to tell others about it. And then they had this missionary conference in the 1830s, and they said, you know, maybe we should tell other people about this Sabbath thing. And they're like, yeah, we should tell other people. We should. And next thing you know, they start telling people about it, and, you know, Ellen White, and, you know, the story like Captain Bates, and it just all of a sudden it all clicks. And it was because someone told someone else. And I think that with Adventism, I'm an outside perspective inward, is that as I came in, I realized that everyone really kind of felt like, well, this is it. This is the church. This is the way the church should be. We've got the doctrine. We got the things. We know Jesus come. We got the prophecy. We got Daniel, you know, all this stuff. And then what ends up happening is we don't really tell anyone, because we say, oh, well, you should naturally know this stuff.
But right there, we're failing at Christ methodologies.
Right.
Big time.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I think you're exactly right. And it's the same thing with campus ministry. So we had these three young, I think I saw, four students. Any other students here?
And when you hear things like, oh, we have the truth. Well, here's the
Wow.
thing, you don't have the truth if you're not practicing the truth.
Yeah. You only have the truth if you have Jesus, and we got a hand back here.
Yeah.
My name's Cindy, and I have work at the Hope Center, and this last week, and the Hope Center, for you all that don't know, we are a non-denominational, nonprofit thrift store,
Nice.
but we utilize resources through several churches and different companies. And I'm up front doing the cashiering, and I take the phone calls. And this last week, a pastor from campus called and said, I have a student who's from some island, has no winter clothes. What can you do? One of our people who work there does do that kind of ministry through their church, as far as that we collect boots, hats, gloves. But one of the biggest things that I've noticed over the year and a half that I've worked there is that from the campus, some of these students, yes, they may be looking for recreational things, but it's meeting their needs. You
Right.
know, you can't educate someone, I come from education at a low level, kindergartners, unless their needs are met. And so if they're cold and they can't walk across campus because their feet are freezing, then we need to help them with that. And I think that would be a big way we could support campus without having to go stand on the corner maybe, but say, okay, get connected to the campus pastors or whoever. She was really nice. She was a great lady to talk to, but see what they need and how we can work through them to reach the students with our name connected as a Seventh-day Adventist and help them see that, okay, you are a resource we could call.
Right.
You are someone we could do something with. And then expand beyond that and connect with the students that we do have there and make functions that would be like, oh yeah, your church donated the boots I'm wearing right now. And oh, cool, you're doing a soup kitchen and we could come play games. That would be great.
Right.
So,
Right.
but that is one resource that I noticed in this area. We have a lot of international students and they know nothing about winter. And so they'll come in and be like, can I walk in these shoes across campus? Am I going to keep warm? I'm like, no, you need boots, this kind. Oh, but those are too big and bulky. But yeah, they don't understand some of our culture either. And so that might be a resource or a way to open a door to do other resources and other things for us.
If you're looking for ways that the church can actually serve, students, a group in Harvard introduced us to something that I think is something that any church could do. Bye, Glenn. Love you too.
See ya.
Glad I got
See
to
ya.
see you. It's my brother-in-law. They started like helping seniors, like high school seniors, and even transfer students and things like that, kind of acclimate to the university, learn how to like apply, to come as a student. So they did this. They put together like this program that would just help them in that transition. And they had all kinds of people that showed up for that, So that's something that a local church could do. But I would suggest that the most important thing that you can do is to support these students that are there, because they're there every week or every day, and they are making friends and connecting with people. So how can you support them? The other thing that I would say is, are you all really invested? Are you really committed to having a ministry on this campus? Is there a team of people like in each church in Pullman and in Moscow here that are like, hey, we consider college ministry as part of our church ministry. And what I would suggest that you do about that is form a little team. I mean, you guys that are here right now, that's great. This is a great beginning. And we like to call this group of people ACF advocates. You advocate for campus ministry and for these students. And you meet like, at least once a month or something like that and just check in and like, how are we doing? Thanksgiving's coming up. You could have a Thanksgiving meal for international students. There's lots of things that you could do, and you can advertise that, through the students and on campus. But it's actually beginning to say, no, we're stepping up, and we're saying we're going to actually have a ministry here. The other thing I would suggest is maybe doing a launch, kind of a relaunch for campus ministry. I used to do these weekends, and I've been kind of doing a shorter version of them called Campus Catalyst, where we come to a church and we do a Friday night with the students. We've already preached here on Sabbath, so I don't think we have any more sermons, do we?
No, just the one.
Yeah, it's done, sorry.
Yeah.
There you go, there you go, right. Anyway, and then we brainstorm, like, okay, what's gonna happen this fall? What's the program gonna look like, and kind of put together, like, what the program on campus is gonna look like, and what is the church gonna do?
Where the
so
support
you
is.
have like kind of a strategy of what you're doing for your campus ministry. And I would suggest that you do that sometime, early fall, like September. Is both campuses a semester or a quarter system? Both of them? Okay, well,
But you guys, when do you start school? You do start in August?
very
Okay.
end of August, yeah.
18? Okay.
Yep. And I was gonna say one other thing. John and I are piloting a new program called Gap Year. Oh, okay, well, we can talk. So we have 6 Gap Year students with us in Berkeley right now, and they are tremendous help. They're on campus every day, tabling. They're playing spike ball.
Yeah.
And a couple of the tables that we've been doing, it's not like your typical, like, well, here's a brochure about how to study the Bible. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, that's good, but they've gotten very creative, and they're doing like a craft table for students to come by and just make crafts and sit down with them, and then we're having conversations with them. Or just out on do you guys have like a, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Another table is, a couple of our students are, his daughter and one of our students from Hungary is a really good musician. So they put up a table saying, come and write songs with us. And so they got a guitar there, and people are coming by and they're writing songs together, So there's a lot of different things that you can do. But I would suggest that you guys have at least a couple of Gap Year students here next fall. And so maybe one for here and one for, WS.
Yeah. And that really comes about so that.
And wouldn't that help you guys? If you
Yeah.
had a Gap Year student that was helping you,
Someone encouraging you and kind of checking in. And, if you, like, to take ACF to what we would like to see it become, which is a missional level. Because usually what happens, because there's not enough time and you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough help, you get together in a social aspect. You kind of maybe go to church together from time to time. You go on a walk, a hike, or whatever, and that's about it. And that's about all the energy you have because you're in school. You got to remember, like these students are, like, I feel like going to school is harder than going to a job. You go to a job, clock in, clock out, you're done. Most jobs anyway. But like as a student, you've got all these extra things that you have to do, and you're just constantly thinking about it. And it becomes overwhelming. And then the church is like, we'd love to support you. Will you be the president? And well, here you go. Can you go do this? And so we really kind of looked at that, and we looked at other organizations, and what they do is they have a volunteer, they have staff, and they have pastors. Now, our church has decided as a denomination that pastors of the closest thing you can get is a pastor that pastors a church near a university. There's not going to be a pastor that just pastors for the university, right? And like a chaplain, but we feel like we want to take it to that next level, and we are starting an organization and a 501c3 to really kind of kick this up to another level, to be able to really, if we want to reach the 25 million, we need people to do it. We need volunteers, we need interns, we need staff, and we need pastors. And right now, there's no money to support any of that, but I think God is going to come through, and I think starting with the gap year and showing what can be done, where someone that isn't going to school, but they're your age, they can walk alongside you, and they can be the ones doing all the heavy lifting, and then, work with the ACF to kind of like say, well, what do you guys need? What is it that's happening on the campus? Let's lean into it, and let's plan. And taking some of the administration, and Ron and I have decided too that we would also support that gap year wherever they are through training, through orientation, and through check-ins to be able to make sure that they're staying on track and that they have the things that they need as being a missionary. Like, we're working through the Office of Volunteer Missionaries, which is the office that usually sends people to other countries, but now they're looking for places inside the United States because it's been a little bit safer inside the United States. So
Used to be.
yeah, it used to be, yeah.
No,
No,
no, they are just really here as a support to the ACF chapter. No,
there
not
are certain
necessarily.
rules behind that. You do have to look into what are the rules. Now, where I come from in Seattle, we're in a different situation because we're a city school, and that means that right outside of UW, it's all city, and so they have to provide certain protections like locking the doors. And so each place is going to be different. I think that here at WSU and U of I, you probably are more of a lenient, where you're more campus town. So there's people that are going to be on campus that you don't know whether they're students or not. And really they won't be able to do the reservations of a room, but that's like kind of a job of someone from ACF. The students actually would reserve a room. And that's kind of like Indiana University was the same way. I could go and be in a room and hang out and even get away with bringing food into the room but the ACF people actually, I just worked with them and said, hey, could you get this? And it's just a little bit of paperwork, and then, we bring the bomb. So.
Is ACF registered at WSU? Right.
Yeah, don't feel, no, don't,
I don't feel
like, it's
bad about
okay.
that,
Yeah, no, don't worry about that.
But that would be great if, like, maybe by next year, we could actually have it registered,
Yep.
and also at
U of I.
U of I.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions, like, I know that, with talking about a campus catalyst happening in the fall, like prior or right when school's starting to really kind of come together and say, strategically, what can we do? But what do we want to do right now? We're like in kind of the downward trend. You guys have had midterms and everything. So we're on the downward trend for this semester. What can we do to get ready for next semester and next fall? So that's kind of like what we kind of wanted to find out, and what I wanted to find out and see how I can support that from the union standpoint. And actually, I will say this, you all have received money from the union, and I think it was $7,500, I think. I'm looking at Eric, I don't know if that's true or not. Yeah, it's for WSU. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so what it is that the union would like to step in and help launch more ACFs, and basically you need to have a club on campus. You need to have something within the board, the church board, stating that the church is going to support. And then you need to fill out, there's acflink.org. It's acflink.org. That is where we register all of our sites so that we can have like visibility so people can see, oh, if I'm transferring to this school, I can look here and, oh, look, there's an ACF club here already. I can join that club. And if you do those three things, then the union will give money for launching a club. And so that is, I mean, it's money on the table. You know, you definitely, and it's pretty simple, I think, to follow through. So.
You can also get a tabling kit from the division
Yes,
if you register.
yes.
And that's, you know, quite a bit of material.
Yeah, it's like a couple $100 worth.
Yeah, like 350.
Yeah, yeah.
Get shirts, t-shirts, sandwich board, table runner. Yeah, it's good.
So to get a gap year student here, we have to be registered, or ACF has to be registered at the U of I.
We're not going to hold that. As far as gap year goes, I think what we're looking for to get a gap year student is a stable place for them to stay, and trying to figure out how we can feed them and trying to work out the finances for that part. So in Seattle, and don't balk at this price, but this is what Seattle is. Seattle, because Seattle costs about $1,500 a month for rent for one person. And so you're looking at about $55,000 a year to support a gap year student. Now here could be different because, you know, maybe you find a place where you don't, maybe they can stay somewhere where they don't have to pay rent. And maybe you can find groceries for them that they don't have to pay for that. And then you're talking, you know, $150 a week for per diem, and some travel money to be able to go through training and stuff like that. And it becomes much less. In fact,
The main thing is housing.
Yeah, main thing is housing. And
Our 6 people in Berkeley are staying at the church.
right. And so in Seattle, we don't have a church, and so we have to put them in an apartment. So, which is why there's 6 people in Berkeley and none in Seattle right now. But there may, I mean, is there a place here that could house someone or house 2 people that one could go to WSU and one could go to, we have seen, like when I was in Bloomington, Indiana, we had a couple that actually offered their home, and that's where they would stay for the year. And that cut down, they even like kind of made them food and stuff. And so that cuts down on the cost. And because when you're bringing in a gap year, these are missionaries, you know, these are not workers, you know, they're not needed. You're not talking about someone that has a family. You're talking about someone that is looking for somewhere to serve. But everything can be figured out and worked out. And so the 55,000 is just really what it's going to take in Seattle right now, unless we can find a house. So, yeah. So it's basically like, if you're interested, talk to the pastor.
Yeah, we have to start looking for those people.
Yes.
Like first of the year.
Yeah, like now, yeah.
They're
So
making their summer, they're making their plans for next year, like in January.
and we are looking for, you know, individuals that maybe are taking their sophomore year off or junior year off. Maybe they're or maybe they're in between, you know, they're going to take their what's it called?
Their MCAT.
Yeah, MCATs, yeah, or LCATs or whatever, and like maybe they're taking a year off for that, and want to give back, and they're looking someplace to serve, and so that's kind of what we're looking for, and this year was the first year of our pilot, and so in January, February, we're going to start visiting like our colleges, and we're also going to reach out through our ACF network of the student leaders that we have and see if there's anyone around that would kind of fit that and be able to find someone. So, and simultaneously, we are looking for spaces to put people. So,
What's the next step? What do we do next?
I might be speaking a little out of turn, but
I'm sure you're not.
okay. As Adventists, we do a good job putting the light under the bushel. I think we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves with the gap here. First, I think it's necessary to have a sufficient number to even register a club out of campus. And I think there's a
What do you have to have a registered organization?
I think it's 4 at WSU and I think 3 at UofI.
I think it's 4 at U of I as well.
4.
So you need 4
So it looks
signatories
like-
at each
looks-
place.
So it looks like you've got half for both.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Just need to do the paperwork. Right, but they can put their name down, and that's a good start. And as far as like, I've heard like Friday night Bible studies is basically what you have, and maybe a Saturday afternoon walk or hike. I don't know if maybe you would think of like doing a social event during the week, and trying to do it one time a week, every week, where you about an hour max, and just inviting people to come out and like, hey, let's play some board games. We forget that community also involves social activities, and it doesn't have to always be surrounding the Bible. Like, you don't have to always bring out the Bible, bring out the Bible study. A lot of the friendships are made in a social environment, just around, like you talked about having like maybe coffee. I think you talked about having like meeting at a cafe and stuff. I think that's brilliant. Like, say, hey, you know, we're gonna meet at this cafe and just hang out, just hear what people are going through, hear what they're doing, and then as so this is something that I was told by a Malaysian student who left. He said, you know, I just wanted to tell you what Chi Alpha does, and Chi Alpha was exponentially growing across the country. Like, all of a sudden, boom! I had never heard of them, and then they're everywhere. And so what they do is, first of the school year, they go to the dorms, invite people to a movie night, invite them to a social activity, and they invite them to each week, like, hey, come on out, we're going to do this. And people are looking for things to do in the beginning.
Students are lonely,
Yeah, they're lonely.
aren't
They're
they?
looking,
I mean, they're looking for friends.
right?
Yeah.
And like, so they would just invite, hey, let's do this, let's do this. And he said that after about a month, they don't stop doing that. What they do is they start to invite people to other things, like Bible studies, like different, like, hey, we're going to have this Bible study, or hey, we're going to have this worship. And that's why they've grown, is because you've built the community already. You're having fun together. And it's because, you know, Jesus is like our life, but Jesus walked a lot and he had conversations a lot, and he ate with the publicans, right? He ate food a lot. And so, you know, I think that sometimes we flip things and say, well, we need to have a Bible study, and that's what we should do. And if people aren't coming to the Bible study, I don't know what they're thinking. But, you know, if I have just seen a lot of success, like if you were to like plan out maybe next semester and say, you know what, at the beginning of the semester, church, would you mind helping with some funds? We're going to have a pizza party. You know, we're going to go roller. I don't know if there's roller skating or ice skating here. Actually, there's probably winter things here. Yeah. And so there's things to do, like just things that are fun. Yeah, both. Yeah, and like just do that, like, and do more of those things. Like, don't just have like one off where you're like, okay, bowling, and we're not going to do anything else. We're just going to do it once a semester. Do things and do it consistently. Like, do it every week. And if you can't be at everyone, if you have different people that are, hey, could you lead this one this time? I've got to study for this test. You know, just split it up so you're not having to be the same person every week. But if you're consistent, what you're going to see happen is it's going to be like this, and then it's going to grow. And then you're going to grow these friendships. And then by the time next fall hits, you know, you could even do maybe Crave, which is it's a evangelistic outreach that's 3 days. It's six talks, 20-minute talks, that you're given the whole script and all the slides, and students can give them. And Crave is all about speaking to the educated mind and showing where God can actually fit in. And you just kind of take them from like, okay, you don't know God, but all these studies are saying that we need each other. And then by the end, you're like, hey, do you want to know more about God? Come and join our thing next week. So there's thousands of different things we can do. I think I would like to see you guys get started.
Yeah, so I had a quick question, just to give you a background. I came here in 2008 as a student. I had been in Adventist school and knew that my major was not going to be something I could take in the Adventist system. We don't have a strong agriculture background. And so I was looking for a non-Adventist school. And I had a friend that was here at ACF that I had gone to high school with, and he said, we have a great ACF. And I actually chose U of I because of that, because I wanted to have that background. So I did, I mean, it's been 15 years now, so it's been a while, but I did go through ACF. And I'm curious, for the students currently, what do you guys feel like maybe the church could do to help you guys? I know at the time when I was in ACF, we had a couple that hosted everything. I mean, she was a cook, and anything we did, or we went and did like tubing weekend over in down past towards Joseph, Oregon. She'd do all the food. Like, we didn't have to worry about food and stuff like that. Would things like that help you guys? I mean, I know we have the Matthews who are hosting a lot of your Friday night stuff, but is there something you really would like us to step in and say, hey, we need food, or we need a house? Because I know that's what we always lacked at that time, is, you know, you don't have a place. So I'm just curious, do you guys have any input of something you feel like you're really lacking that we could step up as a church and help fill?
This was something that even Nancy and I were talking about, I think it was Thursday, we kind of put together a kind of like a little sign-up sheet sort of thing. And I think one of my main problems is just like, I don't have time to plan things and trying to get the ball rolling on things. So we were thinking that if we had the sign-up sheet that we could kind of send around, and then we gave like a list of like different ideas that you could like plan if you wanted to do like a host a thing. And then also like, then you have like your name and your email down at the bottom, and then like what time and like the date or week that you're available. Because I think that's one of my main problems is like, I hear a lot of people in the church, I mean, I've been going to Pullman, but everybody's like, oh yeah, we want to host and like do something. And I'm like, this is great. But a lot of the times they're like, oh, when we do need somebody, people aren't available. And so it would just be fantastic if like, oh, if people had ideas and then when they're available to do that sort of thing. And like, yeah, and I know college students, we have, you know, our whole sort of wacky schedules, but I think it's just helpful to know when you're available instead of just trying to figure out, oh, somebody to fit this sort of thing.
Do you guys do WhatsApp? Do you use WhatsApp?
We should, but only about half of the people on there have WhatsApp, so it's just going through text.
WhatsApp is big for us. You know, we jump on, we create a WhatsApp channel, and then everybody knows what's going on, you know? And that way, church can be involved, and also the students can be involved in it. I don't know, you know? It's hard. It's hard if it's not digital, because it's hard to keep up with everything. Maybe it's not WhatsApp, maybe it's something else, I don't know. But.
Well, I would say students aren't using Facebook anymore. Maybe
What
some.
were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that something we noticed too. So we have a young adult family group, and so we decided to get them on Signal. And I think there's a difference in that, like versus text message. No one really loves group text messages, I guess, sometimes, you know. But in the group, like you have people shouting, "Hey guys, there's something going on here," and it's I don't know, it's still a little different. Having like that.
Yeah.
WhatsApp, Signal, that. So it might be something to try. Hey guys, got this.
I was going to say one other thing. So our gap year students started a Wednesday waffles. So every Wednesday they make waffles, and then they invite their friends to come and whatever, and it's going pretty well. But another thing is, if you can do something that like kind of is at the beginning of the semester that you invite everybody to, like right now our group is going to Yosemite, and they're doing a weekend together, and they planned it all themselves, you know? So if there's something that you can do that's kind of like, hey, I really want to do that, you know, it's different than just like, oh yeah, there's this thing Friday night, it happens every Friday night, you know? But if you can do something that kind of galvanizes them and gets people together, I mean, we were having a hard time in the Pacific Union of just getting even our chapters together. So I said, all right, this year we're going to go to Hawaii. and we did, you know? I mean, I'm not saying you can go to Hawaii.
Well, you probably could,
I mean,
but
you could
if you want
to
to.
spend the money, you know,
Yeah.
so whatever. But what I'm saying is do something that like people go like, yeah, I really want to do that, you know? And that kind of gets people together, and then they realize like, well, this isn't just Bible study. This is community, you know?
Yeah.
And out of that emerges Bible study.
So one of the things that when I had a church, what we did every beginning of the year, there was a couple things. The first, we'd have like a pancake breakfast type thing. I know God stole that from Ron and his church beginning. But the other thing we did is an adoption. So every year you'd have new students come in, and they would at least come one time. I mean, that's normal. And they come in, you recognize them, of course, but we had people lined up that were willing to adopt one of these students. And really, it was just so they would be the ones that would connect with them, and they would check up on them, maybe give them a goodie bag, and just really make them feel like they're part of the family. And that's really kind of, it worked so brilliantly. I mean, because we started to have this big family, and that's what the church became, is filled with family. And that's really what we want the church to be. And because then what happens is not everyone that graduates will leave this area. You know, some people will graduate and they'll stay here, and they'll stay in the church, and they'll grow the church and have the next generation and really look at how you can. So there's, I mean, the church itself, I would definitely suggest, like, if you guys haven't done Experiencing God as a church.
I was just going to say that.
It's like on my mind all the time. So Experiencing God was written by Henry Blackaby, a Baptist minister from Canada, way back. And he kind of went to a church assignment, and when he got there, they were shuttering the doors. And they're like, sorry, Pastor, we brought you here, but as you can see, there's 3 people, and we're just going to close. We're just going to shut down the church. And he's like, well, did you pray about this? I'm like, no, can't you see there's no one here? He said, well, let's pray about this. Let's see what God, because we know God is at work. Let's see where he's working. Next thing you know, they're actually planting churches. They're doing a worldwide ministry. And, you know, it's a workbook. It takes 12 weeks. And it is like the thing that if you want to know God's voice in your life, if you go through this workbook, you will know. You will hear it, and you will start to see where he is working, how he's working. And one of the things he said was, and this is always funny to me, like, so this church gets together and they pray, like, we want to reach our neighborhood. And they're praying, like, how can we reach our neighborhood? How can we reach our neighborhood? And like, you know, like, there's this park right here, and people start talking, they're like, we should just put on a big picnic, and we'll invite the whole community to join in on this picnic. And so they do, right? They have this big picnic, they advertise everywhere, and tons of people come, and it's a huge success. Well, what do you think they did the next year? It's the same thing, right? Because it was something successful. But why was it successful? Because they asked God. Like, it's not the event. It's not the Friday night Vespers. It's not the Sabbath morning church. It's, let's pray. Where's God working? And where can we join him in this work? And this book teaches you exactly over 12 weeks. We did this when I was asked to be a lay pastor, and I had no idea what to do. And so the conference sent a retired pastor, and he kind of led the whole church, because we were like in a rebirth time. Not our whole church. It was just our board. And at the end of the 12 weeks, we got together as a board, and we had no agenda. We just said, let's pray and ask God where he's leading and where he's working. And everyone unanimously said we need to get on the campus. And that is actually what launched me as a person in ministry, for campus ministry. And our church turned over and went from going down and just skyrocketed up, all because we spent time and said, where are you working, Lord? So I would encourage anyone to do it.
I know also that it's, you know, a bit of a challenge after COVID. It's changed everything. I know that it has. We experienced that also in Berkeley, and it's been an uphill climb, you know. But I do think that people are really lonely and people are scared, and they need community. Something like experiencing God is if your students are really, if they're really growing, you know, they're not just coming to church or even just going to a Friday night meeting, you know, but they're really connecting with encountering God. They're going to tell that to their friends, and they're going to come out of the woodwork. It's going to happen, you know. So
Yeah, when you were mentioning something about training, I don't know what is, you know, in ACF, in the community, and I'm just spitballing, but would it help strengthen the actual clubs and the collegiate leaders to have like cross-country interpersonal, like mega Zoom meetings, like whatever presidents or whatever, all like on a monthly or quarterly basis? I don't know what makes sense, but to like see what they're doing, like, oh, we just think on a shoestring budget over here. We didn't even think about that, or yeah, we're praying about this, or we're inviting them. And does that happen at all, or are there like any kind of more than just a pastor checks in? Is there anything like broader?
There is how often is it? Every other month that leaders meet on Zoom with the youth department. Tracy Woods will lead out, and it is open to anyone that wants to join. And basically what happens in, things have kind of changed, like when COVID.
But what really ought to happen is each union should be having their own every other month.
And that's actually what, I'm glad you said, because I want an advisory, and we do need to do that, and we need to start talking about the wins. And I'm glad you brought that up, because at the national level, it is kind of like, okay, the NAD is going through this. This is what we're doing, the structure-wise, and so it's not like what you're saying.
Because it needs to trickle down,
Right.
Because the only thing that makes a better leader is to surround themselves with better leaders, right? And you know, on just different levels. So it's like the GC to the unions, like everything's connected down to the brand new student.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if we could get more people, more churches, more clubs to like see it that way, it's just like, whoa, it's not just church.
Yeah.
And the collegiate person's like, oh, it's not just this club. And the presidents are, it's not just administration.
Right, exactly. And that's at a conference level, you should like, and I'm talking to your conference youth director who is in charge of public campus ministry as well. You want an advisory there that kind of really is kind of the local for the conference. And then, you know, if you come down to the church level, probably what I would suggest, because you have two churches, two universities, and do you guys do stuff together? But between the two? Yeah, so I mean, because it's simple that way, maybe forming a team that would consist of both universities, like representation from both universities, and just having a kind of a talk of so like how things going. And the other thing is like it would be nice if one of the leaders I always had the ACF president sit on the board. And the reason why we did that, and they couldn't make it every single time, and I got that. But I wanted them to see how the church worked, and how we as a church make decisions, and sometimes need to make decisions, how money works and all that. But then also I wanted the church board to see that there's someone young here, and you know they would bring their needs to the board, where it's kind of the first line, and you kind of build that connection together. And so having a team that would consist of students from both universities and church members, maybe from both churches, having a small team, and then having some sort of representation on the board to be able to kind of see how all of it works, especially as you start to, because one thing that most of the universities do is, well, I can't say most, but I know the ones I've been part of, like you usually have an account that you can sign up for, that money can actually be deposited in. And it may be that you get to a point where the organization is structured in such a way that the church will give money to the student, which then will spend the money. And just learning how that all works, because the university itself, the whole reason why they want clubs is because they want their students to graduate knowing how organizations work, and they actually are better. So we can lean in on that, and the university likes when, and actually Indiana University invited all the faith people together, and this is Indiana University, one of the most secular in the Midwest anyway. It's where Kinsey Institute was, where a lot of craziness, and they brought us together, and they like gave us this nice meal, and then they said, well, this is the reason why we brought you together. We're like, uh-oh, they're gonna like kick us out of the school. But they said, we have seen that students that belong to a faith community do better than those that do not. How can we help you? And I was floored, and then I left. So it was handed off to somebody else, but I was really floored by that, because it is true. It is true. And so if we can figure out how to lean in that, would be great.
So it's getting late.
Yes.
We've been here quite a while, and you guys have been very patient. But if we could list some things to do, some next steps to do. So
Practically.
So we got some things that we're gonna. When I was in Hawaii, probably, I don't know, 5 weeks ago or so, and we launched our ACF, our new ACF chapter there at University of Hawaii. And there were several things that we committed to there, and I'm just going to throw those out here, okay? We formed a team at the church, like a few people from the church, that said, hey, I believe in this. I support these students, and I want to see this ministry, go forward. So there was, 5 or 6 people from the church, and then there was well, what students do we have? And so they started going through the list, and they're like, oh, I didn't know we had that person or this person. So you have a real list of students, and you try to keep them connected through WhatsApp or something. I don't know what you use, but something, and try to get people to be on that list. And and they're meeting I think they meet once a month, and sometimes it's only people can only be on Zoom. They can't always be present, but they're meeting and they're playing. And then they found somebody there in Hawaii that said, hey, I would like to be a gap year leader. And so they've got somebody that's doing that. Now, you may not do that this year, but you could begin to form, and then by next year, let's try to have somebody. Let's try to have somebody in place for fall, for both places, both campuses. I'm just throwing these things out here. These have to be your goals. They can't be my goals for you. So that's my question to you is, what do you want to do? And what's the next step? Yeah.
This isn't really my place to try to do this.
Sure it is. You're a member here.
Right, but there's some students that are here, at U of I or WSU, and I know where they're from and out of state or something. I will see them at church once. I'm like, oh, cool, they're coming to church. I'm thinking this in my mind. So and I know they're in SDA. I don't think, they're in SDA making their exit, and that they actually need fostered. They actually need fed. They need poured into. I'm not thinking that way. And and I said it's not my place. It's just it might be a younger female, but somebody of the appropriate, positions to get their name and number, quickly reach out and say, and then we don't see them in ACF, we don't see them in church, but we know you're out there. and just check up on them, say, hey, we're doing this thing.
And we're
So, like,
praying
that-
for them. You're not lost. I
That's
mean,
what we
you're not
call the
completely
warm
lost.
market. But they're going cold because they're finding new groups outside the church that may not be the best influence, you know.
So what's the next step?
Yeah, jotting some of my own things
Well, it's
here.
also being recorded, I guess, right?
Can present on.
Mm. I would,
It doesn't necessarily have to be board members either.
yeah. I would suggest that you plan something for both campuses for when they come back in January. Have something that is like, that is intentional, that's planned, that you can invite everybody to. And it needs to be fun, you know? And it probably needs to have pizza or food, or something, something fun. And let them know, like, hey, we're glad you're back. How was Christmas? You know, some students go home to Christmas and it's not that great, you know? So something like that from the church that says, hey, we remember you. And they can invite people to it, you know, they can invite people that they know. And then start trying to have, like, you know, you're doing good with the Friday night thing. That's great. You know, do you guys eat together? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, like, you know, work on that, and then maybe if you want to try to have a gap year person, we can start trying to help you find that, you know, find that person. And maybe by next fall, we would plan a Campus Catalyst weekend here for both places so we could really get going. And in between time, we try to find out who we could get to be signatories for each campus, so you actually have, you know, a registered student organization.
Yeah, so work on registration and work on getting a group together, a group of people that are willing to help the students that really focus, and then plan for a launch in the spring, and then plan to follow up the launch, like maybe like have one big thing and then maybe some small things, just one each week. And it doesn't have to be led by a student. If the student can get the room, you know, set up, it could be someone else just coming in there and setting up and led, like, hey, we're gonna have board games. Like, does anyone have board games? You know, just get them together. Hey, we're just gonna play. Come on and join us. It's cold outside. Saturday night social. Yeah, a Saturday night social. I mean, what do you guys do in the winter? You know, does everyone hibernate here? Seattle hibernates. It's weird. Like, and like the sun goes down at like 3:30. It's going down. I'm seeing Christmas lights turn on. I'm like, I'm eating dinner at 4, and I'm going, man, I guess it's time for bed. Because it's dark out. But I mean, what do you guys do in the wintertime? I mean, do you guys go snowshoeing? I mean, is there snow up here, or I don't even know. I don't know anything about anything. So, but figure something out and like invite people and just keep inviting them. And if it's fun, and if people start to realize, like, you're not just bringing someone here because you want them to join your church, because that is not, like, if that's what the point is, it's just not going to work. Because really, we do want to see people in the kingdom of heaven. We do. But most importantly, you know, these are children of God that maybe don't know that they're a child of God. And we're here to kind of show them that they are, to love them. And no matter what they do, you know, just love on them.
It never really works to pressure people into the church. People come to church because they want to.
Right.
Because they like the group.
Yeah.
And they're learning something about God.
One thing you said earlier, consistency, I think that's really important. There's a fall festival that happens, I do it every year now,
Yeah.
and you don't know what's gonna grow. God knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like now there's just, it's a huge festival out there that happens, you know, and it all starts.
Right. And it's usually one person, you know? Like, you guys know who Larry Bird is, right? Come on, you know who Larry Bird is, right? Yeah, Larry Bird, you know, one of the best basketball players. I'm actually watching some stuff thinking maybe he's the GOAT. But he played for Indiana State University in Indiana, this small town, this small school. And they ended up going back to back to the national championships, playing against these huge teams. And honestly, the only good player on the ISU team was Larry Bird. But he was so good that he brought everyone up with him. And I look at that and think, you know, it can just be one person. It can just be a simple potluck. It does become tradition. It does grow. Yeah, yeah. But no, I think this has been really good. And, you know, the Campus Catalyst part, that will be more strategy development, like actual getting into the nuts and bolts. Like this semester, what we're going to do, what we're going to do this year, how are we going to, like, how are you going to schedule it? We bring the schedules out, what your class schedules look like, you know, and really start to say, well, okay, well, I can do this, but I can't do that. But right now we're more, I feel like we're more in discovery phase. We need to actually discover who are the people that would really be passionate to be that group from the church, who are the students that we can find, and then what are the needs? And really kind of researching that so that when you start next fall, and if you have a gap year, then there's more direction and you can say, okay, well, this is the mission for this year. And I think when you become organized that way, things start to really happen. Thank you. I mean, thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say one more thing. So the Pacific Union and the North Pacific Union are talking right now about planning the 2026 ACF Institute. ACF Institute is a division-wide training for public campus ministry people, for students, for student leaders, for, you know, anybody involved with public campus ministry. And 2025 happened in UW. We all came to Seattle. Met about 100 of us. The year before, NPUC had Institute, 2024 had at UW, and Pacific Union went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
We had all these people that were interested, suddenly they were very interested in campus ministry because we were going to Hawaii. Well, we're talking right now about joining NPUC and PUC in the 2026 Institute, and we're talking about going on a cruise. So you students, you can come on a cruise. It'd be out of Long Beach and go down to, no, I didn't say that. That's further down. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway.
Catalina? I don't know.
Catalina would be part of it. Yeah. So that would be a 4-night, 5-day cruise, and it would be affordable.
And yeah, we'd hopefully keep it at about $100.
Yeah.
We'd have to like travel. We'd hope that the church would kind of maybe send some of their leaders that would want to.
But what's good about these things is it gives students a vision. They network with other students. They hear some of our best leaders, best training, and they come back fired up on their campus, you know? There you go, yeah. So you guys should come, you know? All 4 of you, you should come, especially if you're going on a cruise.
Yeah. I want to go on a cruise.
Okay. Well, yeah, appreciate Ron and John for coming out to this area. Definitely loved having the conversation here. I appreciate the students coming out. Always wanted, you know, hear their voice and concerns here. I don't know if you guys, you know, had everything you were able to want to say or express, but would love to hear what your thoughts on this afterward as well. But again, you know, I think we'll just close here with a prayer for our church and the campus here, praying that God will continue to lead to show us where the Holy Spirit's moving. So thank you. Dear Father in heaven, Lord, we again thank you for people who are passionate about public campus ministry, Lord, and I know there's many more from our church who just weren't able to make it today, Lord, but I pray that this can be something that will refresh those who are wanting to get involved, Lord, and maybe be an encouragement to those who are involved to continue it and just continue in consistency and in prayer, Lord, and really, that might be the main thing that we need to do is just pray and be consistent and have a presence. But we just ask for your blessing on Ron and John here, Lord, and our church, everyone who wants to get involved. I pray that we can just minister to our students in practical ways and meaningful ways, Lord, to help them grow in their relationship with you and help them just find their place in this world and on campus, Lord, and as they get sent off wherever they leave from here, Lord. But we just thank you for what you've done for each and every one of us, Lord. We want to share that message with our community, with the world, and there's a big opportunity here with these two campuses, Lord. So we just ask for your character to be poured out on us, that we can be your love and show your love to our neighbors as you command us to, Lord. So